Why solid gold gravy?
Why solid gold gravy? I knew you were going to ask that. Um,
I mean, how can I not?
yeah, right. Well, it's the serving size, you know. Gravy is something that this kind of gravy, we joke in a way where we say we don't put it on food. It's more of a vibe. So the whole record is like this total organic type of thing that that did manifest from us going away together as a group and writing something together. And the concept was gravy, something you share with family, something that is like family oriented, but also very is correlates with the a lot of the special good memories you have. But it's also there can be a lot of stories behind it. You know what I mean? Um, any kind of gathering of your group or um, group of people that you, especially if you're artists, it comes out in that kind of form. So we call it solid gold gravy for the reason that we felt it was kind of slick. It's definitely there's a 4 or 5 live band tracks on there, and so that's what we had recorded when we went out to. What we did is we went out to Antioch, Illinois, and recorded the record there. So it was kind of like a expedition that became a creative one. And that's kind of how we came up with solid gold gravy. Just wanted to make it kind of flow like that.
Yeah. Um, why Antioch?
Why Antioch? Well, it was one of the places that was big enough to kind of cater to how many people we had. And like I brought my rig so to record everybody out there. So it was kind of it was well suited Airbnb, for the situation. We wanted to go further out, but that would have been more expensive. But it was kind of secluded, it worked. Um, yeah, but the only person who's from Antioch is Kyle Rittenhouse.
Oh boy.
Right. That was the depressing news.
Yeah.
But it was a
Yeah.
good, like they had, it was the middle of nowhere. So like we had the spot to ourselves. We had an open, a couple of rooms to record, all the instruments, and then we did the vocals in there too. So yeah, that's where the gravy kind of came to fruition, man.
Okay. So how did the Jerry Blocus skits on the album come about?
Well, Bob Rock is a huge part of our group, and he, if you haven't heard of him, you should look him up. With one of the dopest rappers in Chicago, I would say, and I think he's still doing stand up comedy. So his one of his first loves is also doing comedy and acting. And the more projects we did, the more we would kind of mess around at the beginning and end of takes, and he kind of started incorporating his humor more and more into these albums we were making. And we decided that there needed to be a theme with the gravy as far as solid gold gravy and how we were presenting the issue, and like what do like struggling artists deal with. And we were like, you know shitty managers, and bad A&Rs, and guys like Jerry Blocus, who are now like prominent parts of our society, right? That are in big places. So it's kind of a play on all of that. And he came up with this character, Jerry Blocus, to kind of be our band manager. And he's this guy from the Warped band manager from the 90s or something like that, who was struggling, and but it's kind of an outlet just for Bob to kind of be funny, and then kind of puts the album together into what ended up being some skits, which we wanted to incorporate, like groups used to, like De La and stuff like that. Uh, yeah, Prince Paul was the king of that. So we wanted to incorporate some skits in there and kind of keep the listener engaged in certain respects and kind of do our own thing too and just have fun.
Okay. The song Bird Brains comes from the perspective of birds.
Yeah.
I think this might be a hip hop first. How
Yeah.
did that song come about?
Uh Again, me and Bob kind of came up with the concept of the what's beneath the glass, and it's kind of a play on birds, but it's also a play on people. And we're kind of talking about, you know, other rappers, other people, and how you respond to whatever situations in life you're dealing with. But uh, we kind of, I guess that came out of the chorus. So and I that was also the discussion is like no one's ever made a song about birds, so why not, you know, do that shit.
Most of this is set and sand, it changes really fast. The golden goose you're looking for is trapped beneath the glass. The better dream is treat the love, the rest is for the birds. You will never save the planet if you're trying to sell a shirt. Most of this is set and sand, it changes really fast. The golden goose you're looking for is trapped beneath the glass. The better dream is treat the love, the rest is for the birds. You will never save the planet if you're trying to sell a shirt.
When you have a song like that, do you write it together or does everyone just kind of take the beat home and compare notes and stuff?
Yeah, we have done it both ways. We normally kind of I'll hand out, six or seven beats, and sometimes the MCs will start writing here. Sometimes they'll take it home, come back, but it starts happening piece by piece. And like one MC will go, and then the next MC will want to go after that, or even think of a hook, throw a hook in there. So it kind of happens in pieces, and then I have to kind of orchestrate it together at some point, and kind of put it all together. And believe it or not, a lot of the times of the order of rappers is what it was. I usually don't really mess with that much. So there'll be a few times where I'm like, okay, Casagron won this round. He gets the last verse. He has the best verse. Let's all be real. But it's for the most of the part, a lot of that stuff is kind of the order that we kind of got in the studio. And like I said, with the instrumentation, the live bands, that's a little different because we start like flat. I just bring them a flat beat, straight drums, and then I will sit with the bass player, and then I will sit with the guitar player, and then I will sit with the sax player and key player and take it piece by piece like that, and then we'll do all the vocal stuff later. But like the beat stuff, that's a little different. We can always do that on our own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. The song Feet Don't Fail Me has great horns on it. Is
Yeah.
that a sample or is that
No,
played?
yeah, that's live. Those are live sax. Yeah, that's Anthony Gomez. He's a very talented musician from Chicago. He does a lot of he does the keys and the sax in the live band songs. So yeah, really no samples in those tracks. So I think that's kind of how I try to cover our bases as far as like if we needed stuff that was licensable, then we wouldn't have to deal with like the sample um, clearance and all that stuff. So it's good to kind of have that too, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you mentioned sitting with the bass players and the saxophone players. So, what is your role with that? Like, do you just tell them the sound? Like, do you read and play music yourself?
I used to. I'm terrible at reading music now. That's something that I'm gonna get better at again. Um, but for me, it's I can play a little bit. It's just I'm not as good as a practicing piano player. You know what I mean? So a lot of times I can just lay down. What a couple ways I've done it. I've just laid down the foundation and then just had them replay what I did, or play the kind of key in a different way. Or I've had them I've had Anthony come by and hear a sample that I made a beat out of and been like, I can re-emulate that. Like, let's just redo that all over again and see if kind of we can not necessarily do the same thing, but kind of keep the vibe. So it's kind of like even influence off of samples, you know. So
Yeah.
it could, yeah. So it kind of goes both ways
Are
for
you
us, at least. Yeah.
do you feel more fulfilled producing than emceeing?
Uh, when I'm in the studio, not like live performing live to me is something that I will do to the grave. I think um, I've always loved being able to do live performances. But and producing, I got into because as I got older as an MC, I wanted to keep it going. So I wanted to not only do it for myself, but I wanted to start producing for other people that I knew who were still doing it, you know. And the younger cats that still want to do it. So that I kind of learned it. That was like my second language, the engineering, and but I got good at it too. I feel like it's very important to me, and I love doing it. But I think my first passion is MC.
Okay. What's in your production workstation?
I'm pretty simple right now. I just run it off of, I'm off an iMac. I have a Focusrite and a Grace PA or Grace preamp that I run through, and then I use a machine. I use machine to mess with my samples. I also have 88 keys that are plugged in right now, and I do. There's V drums in the corner actually that like hidden right now. You can see them. But the our drummers sometimes, and I will also play those. That's like actually what I started with as a kid was drumming. Um, and there's a couple other things in here too. Added turntable in here that I have to hook up again. But yeah, I try to use a little bit of everything if I can. You know,
Okay. Um, Formal. It's my favorite song on the album.
is it
Yes,
great?
definitely, definitely. Bob's verse is like apocalyptic, but sounds like current day Chicago. How did the concept for the song come together, and why was Castaway the guy to feature on that beat?
Uh, that kind of happened by uh mistake, I guess. I don't know. I feel like the originally the I made that beat and Mike Logic was going to be on that beat, and Mike Logic was like, uh, you know, something happened, and I was like, he was we recorded something else for him that day, and then Castaway heard it, and he wrote it to it right away, and so by the time kind of we got back to it, there was, Doc Watson was on there, Bob was on there, and Cass was like, I have this verse. And after his verse, I was like, we got to end it there, you know? I was like, that's it. And the hook itself was really Willow kind of coming up with the vibe of what he was doing. So that was like the last, we did the hook last, which is also a little different. But yeah, I felt like her hook was great, a great part of that track too.
Overall, how important is Willow Wells to Greenlights and what you guys do?
She's the queen bee and make the glue, that brings us all together. She really is. Um, Besides the fact that she's a killer live performer and really untouchable in a lot of ways vocally, like her range, you don't see it that much anymore. Um, and I think that a lot of our stuff and creativity kind of flows through like the ideas that she's bringing forward. We sit and we freestyle in the kitchen for hours, and she'll push us to keep going, and we record it all. And then a lot of the times that's how we kind of come up with the song idea, and then kind of go back to our freestyles and see what we liked and what we didn't. But she's a main catalyst and like also kind of orchestrating the get-togethers and like our getaways and trying to, be like, create the foundation that is our group. So I love her for that, and we've been family forever. So
That's dope, man. Okay, last question, man. What do you hope to achieve with Solid Gold Gravy?
well, we want to whet the appetite, and we want to basically we're everything we do is a little different from the last thing, right? Um, and I think with Solid Gold Gravy, we're kind of making a statement that we're kind of here, and we're going to be from Chicago. We're going to do it the way we want to do it, and if you don't like it, you can go do yourself. We're here, and we're a part of the community that is hip hop. I think that the live band stuff is also going to continue evolving for us. So kind of working with more groups and more people that we respect in the city, and then kind of trying to branch out a little further, obviously overseas a little bit, and West Coast and East Coast. So we're trying to spread our word a little bit.
Okay. RP, thank you for joining the realhiphop.com.
Yo, thank you for having me and being a dope host, and we love your blog, and what you do is fantastic, man, for the community and for music. So
Wow.
big ups to you.
Man, that means a lot, bro. Thank you. I appreciate it.
This is a formal invitation. Formal invitation. This is a formal invitation.
Without further ado, ladies and
Yo,
gentlemen.
killing the silence, Pantone vermilion, color visibly violent, brilliant as sunshine is, we piney, but I like OGs to get high with. I'm not saying that I'm stocking up on talkative strains.